Now we move on very quickly to the next track event. They don't need to clear away any of the apparatus. It's the first heat of the women's 100 metres hurdles.
Time to meet the athletes for Heat 1 of the 100-metre hurdles.
We haven't had an answer yet, but it simply says the next 11 fastest advance to the semi-finals. There's no information before or after that. It's a little bit weird.
I can bring you a little bit up to date with that, but let's focus on this race.
Well, I'd like to know the qualifying.
In lane 2,
it is that. It's the 11 fastest.
Italy.
Because under the new rules, a number of athletes, 13 athletes, have been seeded. So if you ran better than 12.84 this year, you are seeded through to the semi-finals.
In lane 3, the two-time European indoor finalist representing Hungary.
Veronika Besana goes in 2. Here's Grete Kerekes of Hungary. The 31-year-old goes in lane 3. 7 times the national indoor champion. Quick starter, good over 60-metre hurdles. The last race was 8th in Ostrava on Tuesday before last in 13.25. Klaudia Sikiarts of Poland goes in 4. European under-23 silver medalist a couple of years back. The Norwegian Andersen in good form, and in Bergen personal best just recently, 13 seconds dead. Lotta Harala goes in lane 6, the Finn. 12.98 in her last race, close to her season's best, or 12.89. At her very best, she's a 12.85 performer. And of course, that came in La Chaux de Fonds, the Swiss venue where there's a bit of altitude assistance and favourable winds, and many personal bests set there. Anna Plotitsina goes in 7 for Ukraine, went down the heats in Glasgow at the World Indoors. And there nearest the camera in yellow, Anna Maria Nesteriuk of Romania, 13 times their national champion, best of 13.02. And women's 100-metre hurdles, well, the benchmark of international class really is 13 seconds, but of course the world record is right down there at 13.12, and now it's insanely quick. Fastest time in Europe this season, 12.49 by Ditaji Kambunji of Switzerland. That was in Doha at the Diamond League meeting. 6th equal fastest in the world. So Besana of Italy in 2, Kerekes Hungary 3, Sikiarts Poland 4, Andersen Norway 5, Harala Finland 6, and then Plotitsina goes in 7 for Ukraine, and the Romanian Nesteriuk in lane 8 nearest the camera. So it's all about times, not about place. Away they go, really good start from Kerekes there, second to right in the red and white of Hungary. She's been gradually eaten up there by Finland's Harala, coming through on the near side really well. Just got a bit of a lead here at the moment, holding them all at bay. It's tight at the line, but Harala takes it, I think, from the pole, Sikiarts. And that time, 12.91. Well, that is very close to season's best, which in turn is very close to a lifetime best. That's a super run from Harala. It is 12.91 confirmed. Sikiarts 12.94 in second place. And for Sikiarts, that's a massive season's best. First time she's gone under 13 seconds this year. She's a 12.8 athlete at her best, but that's a big run from the pole. And Harala, all smiles too. But they will have to wait and see how times go in the following races. It's pretty bizarre, actually. If these races are seeded properly, it doesn't really matter. You can still win your heat and yet not go through according to these bizarre qualification rules, Phil. The fastest 11 from these 3 heats will go through.
It's been a matter of debate, of course. I mean, it's changed from, let's just say, first 3 and 2 more non-automatic qualifiers. That would get you to 11 out of 3 heats, of course. But it's been decided to go this way. Now, there is some discussion, of course, because wind conditions can change.
That's what makes a farce of it.
Nevertheless, let's look at this replay now. Now, Harala was not by any stretch of the imagination out of the blocks quickest, but by the time she was getting to the 4th hurdle, she was really starting to motor, and an excellent second half of the race from Lotta Harala, the Finn, coming through, just coming home ahead of Klaudia Sikiarts, one of a trio of very good poles in this competition, including the defending champion, Pia Skrahowska. So, good run, good outing, but as we've been discussing, we'll have to wait until at least the end of the next race and probably into the 3rd before we can confirm whether she goes through. I'd be very surprised if she didn't, and I would imagine she's going to be accompanied by Klaudia Sikiarts as well.
Harala then winning in 12.91 from Sikiarts 12.94. That season's best, personal best for the Norwegian Andersen.
7 women from the inside Klaudia Wojtczyk, World Athletics Relay silver medalist in the shuttle relay when they still had it back in I was going to say 19-something, no, it's 2021. Now 25 years of age, best recently of 12.98. Part of a trio of good hurdlers. Elena Jiranova,
in lane 5, the
5
European
times
under-23
Czech champion,
championship silver medalist representing Italy.
2 titles over 400 metres. This is one of the more favoured athletes in this race, Elena Carraro of Italy. Carraro, personal best of 12.89, and then we quickly whiz through Melaine Meyer.
8, the 13-time national
German champion back in 2022, 22 years of age. Nika Glojnarik of Slovenia. And on the outside, returning from injury, Mette Gravesgaard, the Danish record holder at 12.83. Very, very talented runner indeed. So the Danish 60 metres record holder indoors. Gravesgaard, fastest woman in this heat on career best, but this is her first outing of any description in 2024, coming back after Achilles and thigh problems. So, from the inside, Wojtczyk, Poland, Jiranova, Czech Republic, Shkvarkova, Slovakia, Carraro, Italy, Meyer, Germany, Glojnarik of Slovenia, and Gravesgaard of Denmark. And they're being called back, full start. Not immediately obvious to the naked eye, we'll just wait for the referee's decision.
Picture, I wasn't sure if there was any twitch there from the Italian top left of picture. She was the first to walk back up there in lane 5. And actually, because she twitched and then rocked back, then the gun went, so she got what looked like a bad start. But I really hope it's just a yellow card for the field rather than a red card for anybody.
Well, I'm looking at our commentator information systems, and it's suggesting that Klaudia Wojtczyk on the inside in lane 2 might have got out of her blocks just a bit too quickly. And indeed, there you can see it, the reaction times.
So you can see the reaction times up on the big screen.
On your screen. As we look at a replay there, as I say, not immediate obvious. The Italian, as Tim said, not entirely settled in her blocks.
0.1.
She wasn't given as a
deemed
flyer.
A false start as we wait on the decision of the officials, our first false start of the competition. We can update you with the shot put.
Just waiting to see what the official's decision is. We now know that the transgressor was Klaudia Wojtczyk of Poland.
Same as 4 other athletes through to the final this evening. So 5 athletes.
While we wait for the officials to come out with the cards, let me just remind you, all the results, all the live results, you can find on the European Athletics website, www.european-athletics. But I'm afraid also, not just the first full start of this competition, but the first qualification. Sadly for Klaudia Wojtczyk of Poland, it's her, and she has to go to the sidelines, but she's insisting on looking at a replay. Track officials. As I said, it's not clear to us with the naked eye, but they will obviously have technology on their side. They'll be able to show her both the reaction times and also the slow-mo pictures. How things have advanced in recent years with regards to full start technology. Well, they were very quick to call it back. The athletes hadn't even reached the first hurdle.
Trouble is, Philip, Wojtczyk here, it could have been just a tiny bit of pressure on the blocks early rather than any visual or visible movement from her. She's protesting, but that's very, very tough.
It's hard to argue against the data, isn't it, nowadays? So... oh, there, now The enormity of what's happened is just starting to become apparent.
Well, the Olympic Games are 7 weeks and 6 days away. The athletics gets underway, so at least there's some kind of a carrot being dangled in the middle distance.
Yes, and she does look as though she could well be part of the Polish quartet going to Paris. So the field reduced by 1. We're down to 6 women. Starting from lane 3, it's Jiranova of Czech Republic, Svakova, Slovak Republic, Carraro, Italy, Meyer, Germany, Glojnerek of Slovenia, and Gravesgaard of Denmark. And just as a reminder, Lotte Harala won the first race in 12:91, the 11th fastest from these 3 heats to go through. And it is indeed a very even start at this stage. Looking as though it's Glojnerek in lane 7 who's starting to pull away a little bit. Gravesgaard really shadow of her former self. Now coming through very strongly, Carrero. But I think it goes, the verdict goes to the Slovenian by a much slower heat than the first one. Glojnerek, personal best of 12:92, so she's a little bit away from that. Indeed, they will suggest that quite a few women from that first heat will go through and probably now know that their places are confirmed. Certainly Harala and Sikarts know that they've got through.
Yeah, that was really competitive too, wasn't it? They are tight, these heats, with the big names absent. The rest of them battling for these 11 places from these 3 heats. 1 heat to come. 13:21 for Glojnerek, and Carraro there 13:23. A very tight second. Meyer 13:25, very close behind in third. There's almost a thickness of the vest between these athletes. And she gets a good start, doesn't she, on the near side in 7, the Slovenian. Working really hard here. She's got pressure from either side, but she withstands that tunnel vision, crisp over those barriers, good on the run-in, and she got it by the tiniest of margins on the dip. Look at the Italian Carraro coming through on the far side, and between them, that yellow-vested Meyer, the German. That brilliant battle between those 3, albeit way outside 13 seconds, as you said, Phil. The winning time, 12:91 by Harala in the first heat. The Finn, significantly better.
So 2 heats down. 1 to
So
go.
there we have it. The second heat of the women's 100 metres hurdles, led home by...
Glorious stadium, this Olympic facility.
So the third of our 3 heats. And after this, we'll have a much better idea of who will be
So,
heading
there's
through
the lineup.
as the fastest 11
Schneider in
into the
2.
semi-finals.
Set a personal best in her most recent race, the German. Just 19 years old. Nervous moments for her, surely. That was a couple of weeks ago. But less than that in Leverkusen at 13:01. Can she go to 13 seconds here? Elizabeth Pesiridu of Greece at 13:11 performer this year. She goes in 3. Emini of Serbia goes in 4. 13:14 this year. Zagreb, semi-finalist last European Championships. 3 times European Championship finalist, the Belgium. There she is in 5. Yeah, we should go back to a 34-year-old, very experienced. Sporting Idols, Michael Jordan, by the way, a former breakdancer. She could do that in Paris as well in a few weeks' time. Karin Stramets of Austria goes in 6, and then there is Carmassi of Italy. Personal best in her last race, that was in Brussels just 10 days or so ago. She ran 12:95. In good form, the Italian. They're a national champion last year.
And in lane 8, the 2021
And
European
Marika
Under-20
Majewska
bronze
of Poland completes the lineup. The 22-year-old goes in lane 8. Her season's best and lifetime best, 12:90. That was, again, just less than 2 weeks ago. She's in fine form. This promises again to be a very, very tight race with 3 or 4 athletes here in super form. But it is a weird situation where they, nobody is guaranteed a place in the next round, in the semi-finals, even if they win in these 3 heats. Although, as Phil said, we do now know that at least 4 athletes from the first heat, the fastest of the 2 heats so far, are going to go through. So Schneider of Germany in 2 on the far side. Watch her, just 19 years old. Pesiridu of Greece in 3. Emini of Serbia 4. Zagreb, Belgium 5. Stramets, Austria 6. Kamasi, Italy in 7. And on the near side, the Pole, Majewska left a picture. Well, I think there was an initial twitch from Zagreb, don't you, Phil, in 5, and then Stramets of Austria sort of echoed it a second later. I hope there's no penalty for them. It was before the gun.
So I think that's most likely to be a warning there for Zagreb. You're absolutely right. It was her not settled at all in the blocks, and she didn't stand up. It was the officials that asked them to stand up, so maybe just a warning, but no false start. So I don't think it's anything more serious than that.
There is Karin Stramets of Austria, complete with pearl necklace. Not sure I've seen that too many times in my commentary career. She goes in lane 6, the 26-year-old. So, 4 times the national champion Stramets as she loads herself into the blocks again after that faulty start in effect for this third and final heat of the women's 100-meter hurdles. Schneider, Peseridu, Emini, Zagreb, Belgium in 5, Stramets, Austria 6, and then Kamasi, the Italian 7. Left of picture nearest the camera, Marika Majewska of Poland. Get underway, really good start there from Stramets, the Austrian, also going well, the Serbian Emini. Battle between these two, but Stramets staying out in front at the moment, coming through later the German Schneider on the far side. Stramets, though, takes this one by half a metre, 13 seconds exactly for the Austrian. Well, her recent personal best, actually, it was about 3 weeks ago in Graz, Austria on home ground. She ran 12.92, so 13 seconds exactly. She's given 12.99, just dips under 13 seconds and very comfortably makes the top 11. So there you can see the fastest 11 so far. Then that been gradually being populated with the result of this second heat. Schneider goes through as well. She finished in second place in that one. Majewska as well, 13.11, good enough to get through the benchmark at the moment. 13.25 by Meyer of Germany. She gets shunted out. Karmasi of Italy, 13.13, also makes it through.
Well, let's have a look at that race again, and indeed it was Stramets who got away very quickly indeed. At this stage, Emini on the inside, but she starts to drift back from her second place as on the inside, Rosina Schneider, the former European under-20 champion, comes through very, very strongly and secures her place. But Stramets, well, she's been very consistent, as Tim was saying. Personal best very recently of 12.92. The last couple of races, 13.04, 13.04. So she's in good form at the moment and nicely through to the semi-finals tomorrow evening.
Let's have a look at confirmation of that result from the third and final heat, if we can. Just waiting for that to come through. Stramets, though, qualifying along with Schneider, Majewska and Kamasi from that third and final heat. And here are the qualifiers. There's 10 of the 11 from these first round heats. Of course, as Phil mentioned, other athletes were given a bye from this first round. I always find that a slightly strange policy. It means they've got, in the semi-finals, some athletes will be fresher than others. Carraro making the...
So delay to the start of this first semi-final. And the athletes sitting down. They're not the most comfortable seats, are they? Those lane markers, while the officials try and work this out. But this is the sort of thing you might face in international competition. Same situation for all of the athletes out there. Just to make you aware of the qualification conditions as well, it's 2+2. The first pairing across the line, straight through to the final. Coming up later on as part of this Day 2 evening session at 8 minutes past 10 local time. So now the athletes in their blocks. Carraro, Schneider, Glojneric, Christofi, Chinalim, Kambunji, Lavintot and Vojcinik. A great noise here as Kambunji does get a great start. Lavin trying to follow her through. Vojcinik closest to the camera. But now Lavin in front of Kambunji. What a result for the Irish woman. 12.73 on the clock. Looks to have equalled the fastest time that she's run this year. Well, Tim, it's fantastic to see sometimes when an athlete knows that in the semi-final, I've just got to go out there and run the race of my life.
Do you know, that was brilliant from Sarah Lavin, because I was watching her. She was alongside Kambundji, who is, you know, up in the top half dozen in the world, and she matched her stride for stride of the first 3 or 4 flights, then got her nose in front, and she stayed focused. The pressure didn't get to her. If anything, she put pressure on Kambundji. So to defeat the European #1 like that in the semi-finals, a massive boost to her confidence. Absolutely brilliant. As you say, equals her season's best. Kambundji second, gets that critical second automatic qualifying spot. But she's got such a good start, Sarah Lavin, there in the green of Ireland. Of course, the Irish have got plenty to celebrate already after that mixed relay gold medal last night. But look at this determination from the blonde in green. Fabulous stuff from her. She ran so strongly off the final barrier. And she has taken the European #1 to the cleaners. That is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. And the fact that she wasn't unnerved by having Kambundji right next to her and right with her. And in the end, she's 600ths of a second in front of...
Now with Tentoglu.
Second semi-final of the women's 100-metre hurdles. And that's Louise Skarbovik Andersen of Norway, who goes in lane 2. Marika Majewska of Poland, third in the European under-20s a couple of years back. She's only 22. The Poles always good at the sprint hurdles. Plenty of Polish support in the stadium too. Here is a growing athlete in status, world indoor champion back in 2022, Sairina Samba-Mayela of France. She goes in lane 4. She won in the Prefontaine meeting in a personal best of 12:52 just a couple of weeks back. She's in fabulous form. She's the European #2. Rita Hurska goes in lane 5. By the way, 7 of the 8 finalists from Munich 2 years ago go in these semi-finals. Hurska of Finland, the semi-finalist in 2018 and the semi-finalist 2 years ago in Munich. Can she go one stage better here? She's the European indoor champion from last year. There's Luka Kozak, goes in lane 6 for Hungary. Didn't run in the heats, didn't have to run in the heats. Took the silver medal 2 years ago behind Skrzowska. So the gold and silver medalists go in this race from 2 years ago in Munich. And here is the champion, Pia Skrzowska. She is the defending champion, hasn't had to run a heat. She comes here very fresh. She's the European #3 behind Kambundji and Samba-Mayela, who's a couple of lanes to her left, 3 lanes to her left. 12:53 this year. That's the time she ran to win in Munich, her best time ever, 12:51. Veronica Besana of Italy goes in lane 8. Listen to the roar for her. Italians loving it. So many of them raising their game in front of the home crowd. Sets her season's best a couple of weeks ago, Besana. She's in good form. Karin Stramets completes the lineup in this second of 3 semi-finals. The Austrian goes in lane 9. 12:92 here. And against really good opposition. I think Andersen of Norway over in lane 2 on the other side, and she in lane 9 may struggle here. The lane order reflects their times on paper, but who knows? Sarah Lavin, remember, winning that first semi-final spectacular in 12:73 from Kambundji. It's about what you do come the final, of course, but that was a big moment for Lavin of Ireland. So Andersen of Norway in 2, Majewska of Poland in 3. Samba-Mayela goes in 4. Watch her. Hurska in 5. Kozak 5, the silver medalist from 2 years ago. Skrzowska, the defending champion from Poland, in 7. Besana 8. Stramets 9. They get underway. Really good start from Samba-Mayela, third from right in that dark blue of France. She's leading this one. Skrzowska at the moment trying to come through in the red and white of Poland, but it's Samba-Mayela by a metre, maybe more there at the line, about 1.5 metres. And Skrzowska equally separated from the rest in second place. But the win time there, well, we're waiting for it to come through. It doesn't matter really. The first 2 go through by right. We know that. So that was a very, very crisp sprint hurdling indeed from Samba-Mayela. 12:43. It's the fastest time by a European this year. That is fantastic. And a big new personal best for Samba-Mayela.
Simon Ehammer, after that rather modest 7:96. Well, still struggling to find the distance again. It's around the same mark. It's around the 8-metre mark. And at the moment, he's out of medal contention. Well, we've just seen Miltiadis Tentoglu, 8:42. Mattea Filani, 8:38. But at the moment, Simon Ehammer not getting up there with his expected rivals.
To me, he looks like a different athlete to who we saw yesterday. he still has his speed coming down the runway, but I just wonder if he's subconsciously braking as he approaches the board. 8:07, so it is an improvement. It moves him from 6th to 5th, but he wants to be challenging for that gold medal. He's going to have to go a lot further than that.
So having a look at the replay here, yes, that European lead time had been, of course, 12:49 for Kambundji, but Samba Mayala just incredibly smooth and holds her form right to the line, whereas Skrzydłowska had struggled just a tiny bit in the first couple of hurdles, didn't quite get into her full flow and rhythm early on. Herska a little further back. Just have to wait and see if she's in the top 4. Steely-eyed determination there. You can see clattering into that final barrier, which didn't help her cause.
And the non-automatic qualifiers at the moment, the third placer from each of those two semi-finals. Wojtunik of Poland, third in the first semi, 12:84, and Rita Herska of Finland, 12:78, a good third in that second semi. But Samba Mayala, a real statement run, that.
Yeah, fastest ever semi-final win in the European Championship history as well.
There it is, confirmation of the win for the French athlete, Serena Samba Mayala.
Of the women's 100 hurdles. We've seen the first couple already, including that fantastic new national record for Serena Samba Mayala. This is Claudia Sichart of Poland, European under-23 silver medalist 5 years ago in Gävle in Sweden. Big opportunity this for Lotta Harala. Fastest ever Finnish performance with 12:91 in the history of these championships in just the heat. She's had that extra round. Maybe that could kind of help build rhythm. Letitia Bapte, she was 5th at the European Indoors in Istanbul last year. Cindy Sember, as I mentioned, the silver medalist 3 years ago, and also reigning Commonwealth bronze medalist. 12:57 this year in Florida in April, well inside the British Olympic standard as well. This is Victoria Forster, winner of the World University Games last year. Also very talented over the flat race, 100, 200 and 400. Nadine Visser, twice a winner of the European Indoor title, of course, over 60 hurdles in 2019 and 2021. Those are fantastic years for her. Perhaps trying to get back towards that best level again. 12:51, that personal best. As Tim was saying, what a world-class standard when you are once you start to get around that 12:50 mark. And Grete Kerekes of Hungary, she has 10 national titles. And this is Giada Kamasi of Italy, who has a background in swimming and artistic gymnastics, rather interestingly. Also, a personal best of 12:95. We mentioned that 12:78 looks to be the current target time run by Rita Herska, who still has that very steely-eyed focus. She's probably rerunning that race back in her head in this semi-final. It is such a hard event to get right. You can never quite predict how it's going to go. You have to try and pull it all together, and on many occasions Cindy Sember has looked capable of doing that, but that major championships hasn't quite got the gold medal that maybe she craves. Sichart, Harala, Bapte, Sember, Forster, Visser, Kerekes and Kamasi in this third semi-final. Sember with a good getaway through the middle. Kerekes going well, and now Visser in the orange, matching Sember. Sember goes away once more, good momentum. And off the final barrier, Cindy Sember. A great semi-final victory there in 12:65. So, very, very strong performance. It's best part of a 10th outside her season's best, but very, very smooth athlete all of the time, looking very relaxed there following that victory, and will feel confident going into the final.
Wow, what a run from Cindy Sember. Finalist in 2022 in Munich, where she was very disappointed, 8th place. But I would say off the back of that, she's not going to finish 8th come the final now, which she's made pretty comfortably. Nadine Visser, very consistent Dutch hurdler. She was 4th back in 2022 and 4th in 2018, actually, the last 2 Europeans. She finishes in 2nd place, but that's a comfortable win for the Brit. And Forster, 12:83, just trying to see if that will get her through.
It will. Huska and Forster, so one from each.
Here it is again. Really good start from Semba, and that immediately, almost subliminally, puts the others under pressure. Visser on the near side of the orange for the Netherlands, really strong too. But Semba, great legs between the barriers, really quick footwork, and she's such a smooth hurdler too. Doesn't need to straighten that lead leg, just skips over those barriers, slaps that lead leg down, and builds that lead of over a metre. That's a comfortable win. Sets things up wonderfully for the final, Alex. Samba Mayela with that new European lead, and actually a new French record to win that second semi-final, 12:43. That was going some, and it separates her from the pack. There it is.
Quite extraordinary how many strong athletes we've seen within the last few moments. Cindy Semba there, Nadine Visser going through along with Forster, but Pia Skrochowska, Sirena Samba Mayela, Ditaji Kambunji, Sarah Lavin, who run that fantastic first semi-final, and someone like Rita Huska.
Turn to the track with the women's 100 metres hurdles, followed very shortly behind the men's 110 metres hurdles.
And we were saying just how incredible those semi-finals were a little earlier. Incredible performances, including Sirena Samba Mayela, European leading mark, 12:43. Well, Victoria Forster, one of the celebrations of these championships when she made it through as one of those non-automatic qualifiers. Nadine Visser, not quite sure she's at her best, but pedigree of twice a European indoor champion, so certainly very much a medal contender. On to Sarah Lavin, who won her semi-final, of course, equaling her season's best of 12:73, and after the Irish won that gold medal last night, certainly they'll be very excited about giving this one a big shot too. Even if repeating that feat would be very difficult to do. Sirena Samba Mayela, I mean, to have the French record alone, given their pedigree in the women's sprint hurdles, is fantastic, but Samba Mayela, very much a game face from her. Taking over from Ditaji Kambunji as the European leader this year, of course. Pia Skrochowska trying to defend the title that she won in Munich nearly 2 years ago. 12:53 this year, still a sensational time. Cindy Semba, winner of the third semi-final, maybe a little bit lucky with the draw on that occasion that she didn't have someone like Samba Mayela with her in that, but still made the most of the opportunity. Has got a strong lane draw as well, right next to Skrochowska, and then Kambunji, the bronze medalist 2 years ago behind Skrochowska. 12:49 had been the fastest time in Europe this year, but in fact Samba Mayela now third fastest in the world this year, let alone best in Europe. And then Rita Hurske, Finland's first finalist since 1969, which surprised me a little bit, given that she and Anna-Marie Korte and Lotta Harala, Nora Lotta Naziri have all been very, very strong over the last few seasons. Must have just been a little bit unlucky outdoors at the Europeans. Hurska, maybe more of a 60-metre hurdle specialist, as indeed she triumphed in Istanbul last year, which was great championships for Finland. So you're really putting your neck on the line when you try and predict a 100-metre hurdles race. But Samba Mayela was terrific in that semi-final. Forster, Visser, Lavin, Samba Mayela then in lane 5. Skrochowska, defending champion, Semba, Kambunji and Huska in a very exciting final, this one. So decent getaway from Sarah Lavin. Samba Mayela now in the blue of France, chased down by Skrochowska and chased by Kambunji as well. Tries to hold them off. Kambunji trying to close, but goal for France, and Sirena Samba Mayela in 12:31, the fastest time in the world this year, and a phenomenal performance, taking the championship record that had been held since 1986 by Jordana Dongova. It's a 1/10 of a second off the European record, also held by the Bulgarian. That is quite simply sensational from Sirena Sambamayela. Ditaji Kambunji 1 place higher than she was 2 years ago, and Pia Skrohovska, well, in the semi-finals we got a sense that she wasn't quite at her best, but still she's produced her fastest ever time of 12:42, which would have been the fastest in Europe this year prior to this final taking place. In December, a little gutting for her to be just outside the medals, but still produced her fastest of the year when it mattered.
Let's look again at that absolutely terrific race. Well, Sambamayela wasn't the quickest away. It was at this stage looking as though it was Kambunji on her way to gold. But Sambamayela just coming through so strongly over the final 3 barriers, and she's so quick between the barriers as well. Sambamayela just pulling away. Skrohovska did her very best to defend her title. Kambunji, 12:40. It wasn't initially showing on your screen, but that's taken a huge chunk off her own Swiss record from last year of 12:47. But there's no doubt at all. Now, that is really going to cause waves right the way across Europe, of course. That's been happening tonight. And by the time it reaches the United States, the very best American hurdlers and the likes of Camacho Quinn are going to be wondering what they're going to do.